I have bought a 2005 Honda Civic DX 5-speed manual. $800 on Facebook Marketplace. And it's kind of a piece of shit. It does run, it turns over, and it will run, but it overheats really bad if you run it past 3,000 RPMs or run it longer than like 15 minutes. I've been doing the research on it to figure out what the hell's wrong with it. I checked the thermostat on it, pulled it out, did the boil test, and it opened up, so the thermostat's fine. And I do believe that the head gasket needs to be changed. So I've never changed a head gasket before. I've just never wanted to and never had to. And it's the type of job that you kind of have to have balls for, because if you fuck it up, you can break your entire engine just completely. So that'll be pretty fun to do. The only good thing is the car I'm driving now, it's a Honda CR-V 2017, it's whatever. I didn't really want this car, but it's a really good car, reliable, and it won't ever let me down. So this Honda Civic, if I do break it, not a big deal. I can just kind of roll with it. I can do what I gotta do. And if I do break the engine, I do want to K-swap it in the future, and that would be the perfect excuse. Granted, I don't have the money to K-swap that car right now, but future, that'll be something to work towards. Right now, I'd really just want to get the car running reliably, get it back to OEM quality, get it back to, being able to take this car wherever, whenever I want, and that requires a lot. On top of the head gasket being not good, the clutch on that car is also not good, and everything around the clutch is not good. The master cylinder and the slave cylinder are old and probably need to be replaced. The throwout bearing is probably destroyed and needs to be replaced, and I'm pretty sure the clutch itself is burning. When I backed it up into the spot it's in, both me and my dad stalled it. Me, I kind of expected to stall it in the sand, because we live in Florida. But when my dad stalled it, I was like, okay, something's definitely wrong. I haven't driven manual in a while, so me stalling it is kind of normal, I guess. But my dad daily drives a manual. So for him to stall it was kind of like, okay, something's definitely wrong. And he kind of knew immediately that something was wrong with the master cylinder. Like, you had to push the clutch pedal too far to get the shifter to go into gear. And when he put it into reverse and he tried to let off, it started to grind and it was causing problems. He could also smell the clutch burning a little bit. So luckily the master and slave cylinder won't be too hard to replace, but the clutch and the throwout bearing, that's gonna suck ass, because I have to remove the entire transmission to get to those. Which, it's a Honda, it won't be hard, but it'll still be just annoying and a long project. There's some other issues with it. The rear shocks are completely destroyed, and I'm probably gonna put coilovers on it anyway. There's a litany of cosmetic issues with this car. The right rear quarter is got Bondo all over it. It needs to be rebodied. The driver's side front wheel fender is dented and disgusting. The bumper is missing a couple of the retaining clips, so it just kind of hangs a little bit and is not flush. It won't fall off or anything, but it just kind of hangs there and is not in place. The interior is dirty as the dude that I bought it from owned a dog and he never really cleaned it. The headliner was falling out and I just ripped it out, and in ripping it out, the driver's side A-pillar actually broke the panel off, and I don't know how to get it back on. So either I'm gonna have to replace that or find a way to get it back in. I'll just have to look into that a little bit and figure that out. There's a lot that's gonna go into this car. It's my first project car. It's the first car that I can really play with no risk of breakage. Like, yeah, it'll still probably break. I'll definitely break it a couple times, but there's not a huge risk with it, because if I do break it, I still have this car that I can drive to and from work and everything. It's not a big deal. So it'll definitely be fun. I've got like 4 phases of this car that I'm going to go into. It's like phase 1 is clean it and get it running. Phase 2 is kind of tinker with some of the cosmetic stuff, get it looking really nice. Phase 3 will be bolt-on mods like intake and probably a new exhaust system and stuff like that. I've thought about turboing it, but I'm probably not going to. Phase 4 will be the K-swap in the distant future. I had just bought some degreaser. There is coolant and scrubs. There is coolant all over the engine bay, dried up coolant just fucking everywhere. It's gross. It's like crusty white stuff, almost like foam when you pull it off too. You spray it, it kind of turns a green color, and it's just bad. So I'm gonna spray it with some degreaser, scrub it a little bit, use the softer one, because it's all over the transmission, the front of the engine, it's on the radiator fans, it's on like every single coolant tube and wire wrap. So I'm gonna get into that right now. So apparently with the frame rate being all fucked up, my outro didn't record properly and therefore had no audio, and I just figured out how to fix it, so I'm going to redo it right now. It's actually the next day, so I have some more stuff ordered. I bought a head gasket and other gasket kit, so like exhaust, intake manifold, gaskets, bunch of other stuff, coolant, O-rings, everything I would need to replace it, especially because it had heating issues, so replacing cooling, O-rings, and gaskets and anything like that would help out a lot. I bought a new radiator, also to help with the overheating issue. I bought a power steering pump because my car does not have one right now. The seller just didn't have one. No power steering. Actually, I can just go to my purchases. Oh yes, master and slave cylinders. I bought both of those as a kit. And I know I said before previously in this video that like bolt-on mods like a cold air intake would be like a phase 3 thing. Phase 3 will be bolt-on mods like intake and probably a new exhaust system and stuff like that. But I went ahead and bought one now because it was like $45. It's quite literally just a ram air, and it would help out with freeing up some space in the engine bay because the air box, there's one like right behind the intake. I mean, it is the intake right on top of it, and then there's another air box to the side of it, and it kind of takes up a lot of room. So I'm going to remove them entirely and put in a cold air intake, free up some space, especially down in front of the transmission, because I need to clean that for one, and for two, I need to change the shifter bushings, the shifter linkage bushings on there eventually. It's like $300. It should get the car up and running reliably, and then I can go ahead and start hitting at some of the things that aren't necessarily priority, but things that I want to get done, like the shocks. Either I'm going to buy OE rear shocks, or I'm going to buy a full kit of coilovers for all four. I need to replace the throwout bearing and clutch. That'll be a whole weekend eventually. I need to clean out the interior. I need to fix the dashboard. There's a ton of stuff I gotta fix, but it's not like
pertinent. I have to get that car running and driving before I can even think about the creature comforts, because creature comforts don't mean shit when you can't drive the car. I've got all that stuff coming in about a week or two, so I'll probably have a follow-up in about 2 weeks once all that stuff is in and we can see how the car's running. Oh, I gotta buy a belt too. Power steering pump, but I didn't get a belt for it. Yeah, that's my life. That's cars right there. That's the life of cars. Bunch of stuff going on. You'll see it all coming out eventually. So yeah, see you in the next one.